Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Heat Press for Profit podcast and happy Friday. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. And of course, here at Stalls, we always aim for these podcasts and all of our educational content to inspire new ideas, help decorators learn, connect with each other, and reach their own success, regardless of what that looks like for you, whether you're a home-based business or you are a large commercial print shop. Here at Stalls, we're in your corner, dedicated to helping you succeed. Be sure to join our community over on Facebook, and that is the Heat Press for Profit Facebook group. If you're not already a member, there is a great section in there just to connect with decorators like you. And when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you have a garment issue or a question about decorating or what transfer type is going to be the best, you know that community is there for you with tons of comments and responses on your post. And you'll see the activity in there. If you're not already, go over there and subscribe to that Heat Press for Profit Facebook page. It is a closed group, so if you're running a business, your customers will never be able to see it unless they are also a member of the group, in which case they're a decorator as well, right? But I will introduce myself. My name is Dave from Stalls and Transfer Express. I am the content director here that is proud to be part of the education and inspiration that we bring to you every single week on our Stalls TV YouTube channel, as well as here on the Heat Press for Profit podcast and our Transfer Express YouTube page, showing how we could use custom transfers to drive people's businesses forward. And if you're here listening, you probably already know. But today I am very excited to welcome on to the podcast Anthony from Canopy Press right here in Cleveland for a conversation about the journey of building a successful custom printing shop. I'm going to bring Anthony on. How are you doing today, Anthony?
Good. Hey, everyone. Dave, always a pleasure to chat with you. So it's good to be here.
Absolutely. Well, for those of those out there, our listeners who don't know Canopy Press, could you tell us a little bit about you and Canopy Press? What you guys do?
Yeah. So we're a custom print shop. We run a couple of heat transfer machines. We run a 6-color screen printing press and a couple other things. I have been in printing, running machines for about 24 years. Not all of that, I guess, has been actual printing. A lot of it was customer service for 10 of those. So I guess we have a pretty small, well-rounded shop, from that. And let's see, I made a couple notes here. So I lost my job during the pandemic, as so many of us had.
I think a lot of us did.
Yeah, I had started, I got my LLC together in 2019. I had this idea to I'm going to broker jobs and this and that because I was already at a print shop, and people were asking me for my help. Like, I did customer service there, and my friends have businesses, and they're like, "Hey, can you give me some shirts?" And it's like, "Yeah, sure." And I thought, well, I could do this for myself. And I started that, and it just got backburnered. And I lost my job, and I was like, I'm going to do this full time. And mid 2020 is when Canopy really kind of got set off, I guess. And bought a heat press, actually bought the autoclam. So yeah, that's kind of what started it. And, halfway thankful for the pandemic, but not really,
I know we hear that from so many decorators, and that was it's always that small little inspiration, that small little catalyst of, hey, this is why I made the jump, right? One of the decorators that we feature a lot in some of our content, he's at our trade shows. Ty Kane from Crafted Manufacturing in Colorado kind of did a very similar thing, but it was right before the pandemic. There was no push, but we've heard that from so many people where it's, hey, I'm ready to take control, and there is no better opportunity than now. And that was a very tumultuous time. Everybody's like, well, are we going back to work in a couple of weeks? But it seemed like the pandemic became this huge catalyst. And so you mentioned you kind of have a whole bunch of printing capabilities there in-house. Was the heat press was the first thing that you brought in just because of the accessibility of being able to do that quick term? And
that's exactly it.
I have it now.
Yep. And I started this in my house. So having an actual screen printing press in the house. I know people do it. It's not for my house. So that was not a possibility. And yeah, the heat press was it. And then I got the hat press, the Hotronix 360 IQ or IQ 360. That was my second purchase, and that was kind of a game changer. Hats are, I don't know, we do a lot of hats.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Especially because you don't see the market out there as saturated as t-shirts, right? You said
Right.
you've been in the printing industry for 20 years, either printing or kind of adjacent, working in shops. And I think we share a very, very similar story where then, like, yeah, over the course of those 20 years, everybody knows you as a t-shirt guy, right? It's
Totally.
like, oh, we're just going to go to Anthony as the t-shirt guy. We're just going to Dave as the t-shirt guy.
Yeah,
So
I'm in
being
a
able
lot
to-
of I'm in a lot of people's phones like that. So
the t-shirt guy. But so
yeah.
like that kind of like that's a nice starting point. And we hear a lot of decorators who do have kind of that 1 foot kind of in the door and then starting to expand upon that. So one of the biggest challenges that we hear from decorators is kind of growing that customer base. How do you do it? Like, where do you get your customers from? Is it a lot of those acquaintances? Is it the businesses that you kind of frequent? Is it your local community? Or
It's all of those, honestly. I don't have actual stats on this, but we probably get 90% of our business from referrals. And the people that I was brokering for early on, like, I mean, that was even pre 2019. They have been like the rocks in this. They're always, I'm still printing for them. They're growing, they're hyping me up or us up. And yeah, it's referral based. It's a lot of referrals. We do have a website. It's really just a quote form. We get some, I don't know, strangers, maybe like once a month reach out, but mostly it ends up being someone that I know from somewhere, or it's a direct customer referral from someone we like just did work for or something like that. So that's a lot of what we do. We don't get a lot of cold calls. It's a warm handoff usually.
That's awesome. But then they're more likely to convert, and you know that they are coming to you for, a reason. We talk about building value in the services. And I mean, we live in this national economy right now, right? Where like
Right.
anybody from California to New York could order printing from you, or,
Sure.
your customers could order printing from any number of decorators in there. What kind of stands you apart from the national competitors? Is it that relationship, or is there something more that kind of sets you apart?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, one, I don't know this for a fact, but I do feel like most people source apparel locally due to shipping costs. If it's like one shirt from whatever custom ink or something, like, I totally get that. It's a minimal charge, but we just did 580 sweatshirts. Like, that's a lot. That's a freight shipment, so that is in my mind kind of obviously a local decision. And we do work with someone who has a branch in, I think, Missouri. They get their apparel from us for their local Cleveland branch, and they don't use us for their Missouri stuff. So like, it's fine. I wish I was doing it, but they asked me like, can you do free shipping? I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, it's $300. Like, I can't do that. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is proximity based. But it is the communities that I've built over time. And I mean, I'm a Clevelander. I've lived in Cleveland my entire life and been in printing. So like, yeah, I'm the t-shirt guy. So yeah, there's that too.
And now the hat guy too, because that's
the
one
hat
thing.
guy.
Like,
Yeah.
you see that market so less saturated, and you say a lot of your work is referral, which does, I think, lift the burden of marketing off a lot of decorators' shoulders, right? I think that's a blessing in a way. What do you do any outbound marketing, emails, or is it mostly relying on social media, or is it almost solely just word of mouth and you focus on doing what you do best?
Yes, the latter. I would say it is, again, it's mostly referrals. We have an Instagram that is like the portfolio. So when someone new comes, and maybe they probably are a referral from someone, but that's just their friend saying, oh man, yeah, you got to call my guy Canopy, but I direct them to our Instagram because that's where our work is at. that's what we've got, and that's what I can show people. So I think the combo for us at least works really well. We have, we've dabbled in email blasts and stuff like that, but it's a lot of times it's just me here, and I'm, running a business it's a lot sometimes, and writing an email that makes sense to, like, 500 people on the list is, like, hard for me to do. So
100%. Yeah.
yeah, I kind of go with the photos are 1,000 words or whatever that phrase is. Like, just check us out. Like, we've got good stuff. We're doing good work. And yeah, there might be an email in the near future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you touch on what so many decorators out there are struggling with, right? Where, if you're a one-man show, maybe you have some part-time help, maybe
Sure,
you
yeah.
do have one or two employees, but like the burden of that marketing weight does fall on your shoulders. And it could be a lot to sit down and set up when you've got orders that you've got to print to get out the
Totally.
door.
Yep.
But you mentioned something about your social media that I think is really impactful, because when we look at social media as a whole, we see so many. I mean, you see it in any walk of business or any industry, where it's kind of like, oh, I'm just trying to go viral, right? The TikTok
Right.
craze in that same kind of pandemic made everybody be like, I'm going to go viral. I'm going to blow my business up, right? And
Yep.
we have seen, I personally know decorators and small brands that did get that success, where they were just posting content, or like a day in the life of a small business owner.
Totally.
One post or a product blows up. But that is the minority of cases, I think, that we look at, right? Where as long as you're posting consistently and you're posting your work to be a portfolio, loved that word, right? Because then it's that social proof. It's that, hey, if you're thinking about working with us, look at not just, because I was going through your Instagram as well, right? It's not just the posts that you're posting, but you click over to that other tab, the posts that you're tagged in, and
Yeah, for sure.
how just fanatic your customers are about you and willing to share. It does seem, you mentioned it, like a community, right? You have this community of customers, because if they have an event, or I saw a few like store openings and stuff where they're wearing the apparel and they're tagging you in it too. So now it's not just, it's not outbound marketing on your end. It's content, it's showcasing your services and solutions. It's and it's not that goal of being viral. And I think a lot of decorators are like, I'm posting, and man, my posts just aren't getting a ton of traction within that first 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, 2 weeks after I post them, and they get demoralized about it. But being that proof, when you're trying to convert a customer, you're talking with somebody, or it's a referral from somebody else to be like, yo, check these guys out, because they nailed these shirts for our whatever it might be. And it's always more than a t-shirt. It's the little league that kid's hitting a home run in the World Series, right?
Yeah, it's important to them. I mean, it's important to me too. Yeah, for sure.
And you talk about, so kind of pivoting from social media, you talked about the challenges of running a small business. And I know, I have an LLC of my own that I understand as a challenge, and I definitely don't dedicate all the time into it. But I talk to so many decorators out there just like you, who do kind of feel the weight of running a small business on their shoulders oftentimes. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've encountered? I mean, even moving from a small space in your home to now having a shop, like what were there any big challenges that stood out, and the techniques or tactics, or what helped you overcome them?
So that's a good question. I mean, I think for us, and for so many people that are in this industry and lots of industries, it's a quality situation. Like, when I was running out of my house, I was basically outsourcing everything. It's to people that I know. I really don't outsource to anyone I don't know. It's very rare I do that, but it's a quality situation. And it's like, yeah, I know them, but it doesn't meet my quality standards, the Canopy quality standard. So that was huge. And really bringing the stuff in-house with the heat press, with the hat press, with the screen printing press, that has been a game changer. That was a huge thing. And starting, I mean, again, not to keep talking about the pandemic, but supply chain issues were huge at that point. Like, I was getting customers that wanted things. I'm like, I literally don't know when I can get you 12 t-shirts that are black and Bella canvas, or whatever it might be.
Yep.
So thankfully that has, that's not really a thing anymore. But I would say quality. I mean, quality is something that we really take seriously here. We're really not sending anything out that isn't what we feel like really top notch. So that was tough, and having those conversations with people that have been printing forever, and they're like, you don't like this? I'm like, no, I don't like this. That's hard. And they're like my buddies and stuff. So that was hard. So bringing in-house has been really helpful for relationships and business.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
yeah.
And when we talk about quality, like, being able to hang your hat on that, and I know that's, being a small decorator and being able to offer all of these services, all of these different capabilities, and we see it with so many, so many decorators kind of have that challenge ahead of them, with quality being that kind of, that flag that you planted in the ground. Are there other things that you've kind of set forth as standards in your own eyes or in your customer eyes? Like, what's the most important to your customers, accounting for quality and even beyond?
Geez, that's tough, dude.
Like, is turn time important to them? Is like the options available, the capabilities that you offer? Like, is there?
Yeah,
I mean, quality, of course, is important. We
sure,
want to
sure.
make apparel that people are going to want to wear and be
Right,
proud to tell
right.
people about. So, but yeah, if there's something else, price, is it,
We're not necessarily like your price shop.
Mhm.
Bottom line thing. I mean, there are the custom inks. Well, actually, custom ink is really expensive in my opinion. But anyway, forget I said that. No, we're turn time is something that's important, but we do have, again, like kind of this community, or I don't know. I say a lot. We have a curated customer base here. I can't do everything. We are a small shop, and realistically, and I have to think how to say this, but sometimes I don't get back to people for 2 days, and it's like we're running jobs, and in the nicest way possible, like if that's not something that you can handle, like you're just not a good fit for us, and that's okay. Like I would love to do the work for these people, but we can get stuff done quickly, but our turn time is pretty standard for the industry. I would say like 10 days, something like that, and
Mhm.
business days. But I think really like I I end up getting personal relationships with a lot of our customers because they're referrals, and I'll go out to your shop if you want, and your restaurant or whatever, and like we'll sit down and talk, and I'll see what you have, what you don't have, what we can do for you, and stuff like that. Where I'm kind of going back, yeah, like I don't think custom ink reps are doing that. I don't know. I don't use
100%.
them, but
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
um,
Yeah,
yeah.
that building a relationship and truly understanding the needs, or like, I
Mhm.
love the aspect of like actually going, because then you get the vibe of the place. And if
Right,
somebody's like,
right.
"Hey, I just want some t-shirts," and it's like a kind of more upscale, you're gonna probably recommend, "All right, are we looking at Bella Canvas here? What's your
Right.
budget looking like? Oh, you're, a landscaping company. Hey, have you thought about some performance shirts instead of these heavy
Totally.
cotton? These are gonna,"
Totally.
and that's the stuff that I think you nail it on the head, especially with coupled with quality, right? You're creating so much value in your products aside from just, it's way more than just a t-shirt, right? Like,
Right.
there's value in your services that you're going to bring any idea that they have to life, but in a way that is fitting of their needs. So understanding the customer being a huge aspect to, I mean, yeah, and then you build that relationship, and
Right.
they're not considering price at all then, right? Like you mentioned,
Yeah, not
they're not
really.
even necessarily, turn times, of course, we have those last minute events that
Yeah,
we're
yeah, yeah.
gonna have to print for.
For sure. And we can do that. That's the thing. Like we keep it loose with turn times. We'll get it to you on time. We are so very, very rarely late with any jobs. And we can also do quick ones. And that was something that I was thinking about when I knew I was going to talk to you. Like the heat press is super helpful for that kind of stuff too. If we've got, if screen printing is booked up, like we can just do it on the heat press. And we do that a lot, by the way, so yeah, it works out.
We see a lot of decorators utilize it, especially for like on demand printing, those smaller quantities. And you kind of have you kind of have a leg up over a lot of decorators being here local to Cleveland, and at least our Transfer Express facility, pretty
Totally.
much
Yeah.
right down the highway
Yeah,
from you.
I definitely drive there once in a while to pick up rush orders. So yeah, it's great.
Taking advantage of that quick turn. And you kind of talked about like that impact the heat press has.
Mhm.
Do you have a favorite aspect of the heat press, whether it be a specific transfer type or maybe the headwear that you talked about a little bit, like unlocking that capability for your own business and your
Yeah.
customers?
Yeah, the headwear that's something that's cool. I mean, I use a ton of Ultra Color Max. That's like it's pretty much my go-to. And we've got that working on materials that you guys don't have listed. So we just kind of dialed it in. And, sometimes I have questions and I call the reps over at Transfer Express and they're like, yeah, you can't use it on that. And I'm like, oh, I've been using it on that. This time I have a question about it or something like that, and that's been like pretty cool. I like a little tinkering with stuff and getting things to work that other places aren't. And yeah, hats have been great for us. Being able to put a full color print on it with the fine detail of the Ultra Color Max has been awesome. um yeah, I like that press a lot.
Which you mentioned Ultra Color Max, which is Stalls and Transfer Express's direct to film transfer for anybody listening who's unfamiliar. But I do kind of want to ask you, because the same way I've been, in the printing industry for 15 years now and kind of saw this direct to garment revolution where everybody's like,
Mhm.
it's going to kill screen printing, right? And as a screen printer yourself, direct to film, how do you view it versus that direct to garment kind of technology? And I mean, when we're looking with of course, we're living in the present now with direct to
Sure.
film, but looking back at what we learned about direct to garment when it came into the industry, how do those capabilities kind of impact deciding what print method to use?
To me, it's a lot of substrate based stuff. Like I love transfers for tote bags. That's I sell those a lot, and people are so happy with them because you mitigate all the texture of the bag and it looks so good because whether it's a screen printer transfer or DTF, like either way, it's on a backer or a liner, and the print is perfect at that point, and then you just transfer it to the bag. Like that has been it's something that I've been talking to people a lot about, and you I've done some DTG totes before and they're okay, but you're still working with an ink that is liquid at some point and it gets into those little cracks and crevices and it looks fine. But like, I don't know, transfers are great for that. That's my hats and totes are my kind of go-tos for like, yeah, let's do some transfers.
Yeah.
And I talked to you about this earlier, off camera, but we have a huge tote bag order coming up and I'm like super hyped about it. And I considered DTG for it and it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The cost, and I mean the equipment too, like I'm sure there's some partners that you could use to like you don't have a direct to garment printer, do you?
That's correct. Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean being able to take advantage of it, I guess, without like we were talking, like the quality issues, right? Because that's
Yeah.
the main thing we see plaguing with direct to garment, and what's kind of I think always held it back in a way. And the barrier to jump into it is incredibly high, right? Like you have
Yeah.
to go buy a press and possibly have a climate
Dryer,
controlled environment,
ideally. Yeah.
a dryer
Yeah.
set
Yeah.
at a different temperature than what you're running, or a slower speed than what you're running for your screen printing and stuff too.
Yeah.
So and being able to like you mentioned, like only have that single investment of a heat press and being able to just order in custom when you need it
Right.
unlocks that flexibility in your
Mhm.
workforce. I do see a question coming in, and for everybody listening live to us on any channel out there, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, if you have any questions or a little advice of your own or inspiration or whatever, shout it out in the comments. We have all of those comments coming into the studio in real time. We have this one here from Instagram, CGP0305. What type of customers are the easiest to target when starting a small scale business, kind of like this? I'll leave that question up right here, but I'm going to let you answer it. I feel like we kind of touched on it
Mhm.
maybe a little bit, but do you want to take a stab at this one?
The homies, hit up the homies. That's kind of how this started. It like Dave and I said, I was the t-shirt guy, and I was that. So I was fortunate to kind of be brought into this. But I think that you can take that question and think about something else that we talked about already. It's like going into spaces and seeing what people have and what they don't have. And if you are someone who already has a press, looking at what people have and how you might be able to do it better or differently or something along those lines. Almost everyone needs printing. Like you think people are like, oh, I don't really do printing. I'm like, but what about your staff shirts? Oh yeah, I do printing. Well, what about your business cards? Like, oh yeah, I do printing. So like, it's tough to give an exact answer on this, but it's kind of seeing what, in my opinion, it's seeing what people kind of don't have. Going back to the hat press, I definitely can walk into a store and see someone that has used a hat press, used transfers, and I'm like, oh, I see things about it that we do better, honestly. So we have that thing dialed in. So, if you're already running something and you can see these issues with prints, just talk to the owner, whoever's in the store, like, oh, do you guys do these hats? Like, you have to touch around that one a little bit. You got to be touchy with that and not insult anyone's printing, especially if they're doing it themselves or one of their friends is doing it, but you'll figure it out.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, and you kind of talked about it too. Maybe before that question came in is start with the people that you know, the businesses that you know, and local, right? Because when we talk about the shipping and being able to, hey, I could turn this in this turnaround time, even save on those shipping freight costs when we're talking about larger apparel orders, and be able to even hand deliver it, have that face-to-face contact and build a relationship. But starting with the relationships, this is what Scotty jumped in on. Definitely friends, family, people you have regular contact with. And I do say, I say it all the time, I think in videos and a lot of the education sessions that I give in person, right, is like every single person that the average person, at least once every 3 years needs custom apparel, regardless of what it's for. And having a business like yours where you're offering business cards and stickers, you need those even far more often than once every 3 years, whether it be, that staff apparel, especially the businesses, right? Like that business to business printing. Are you working with any like direct to, I guess, like clothing brands, or is it predominantly business to business sales of what you're doing?
It is mostly business to business. We actually yesterday I delivered some tote bags for I don't think I can talk about it because they keep their things pretty tight-lipped, but
we can zip it here.
Yeah, but it was a pretty big local clothing brand. I'm like, oh shit, all right, that's cool. Thanks for hitting me up. And here we're in 78th Street Studios, and one of our favorite customers is just above us. She does her own apparel brand, and I work with a couple brands, but it's mostly business to business on a we work with a lot of restaurants, landscapers, like you were talking about, they come here and there, but a lot of restaurants are in our lives, which is cool because I get to deliver there and then hang out and, schmooze a little bit and get some good food and things like that.
We hear that people specifically target like craft breweries and stuff for the perks.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, That's sure.
Awesome. You mentioned 78th Street Studios, and for those of us here local to Cleveland, we might be familiar, but could you give us just a kind of brief overview of what that building is, what it means to you, and kind of like, just the vibe, because it's kind of in a way like an incubator for small businesses and artists, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it can be an incubator. A lot of people stay here. People have been here for a long time. I'm pretty sure every studio in the building, which I don't have an exact number, but there have got to be 50 studios in here, or 50 artists. Let's say some people share spaces, have been here for a long time. Like when I wanted to get in here, it was like, oh shoot, like you're gonna have to wait a little bit. And they were building out 6 new places, and those got taken up like right away. And so yeah, anyway, it is an artist studio. It's a pretty large building. It's over on the west side of Cleveland, and there are a ton of makers in here, a ton of really great people. And every third Friday of the month, they have a giant open house. It's just called Third Fridays. And most of the studios are open. We are not actually at the moment. We are building out our, we are building out our showroom. We are going to hopefully have it done this month. I think it would be the 17th or something like that. But there are tons of other people in here. I've made like some friends. I made a really great friend out of this place. So it's a cool spot.
So yeah, and we kind of talked about that moving from home, and that's stuff that like you don't get, just like being able to be out in the community, have that brick and mortar just as like a kind of added bonus then that you get, right?
Totally. Yeah. When I was working out of my house, it was like people want to come pick up, and no offense, they're referrals, and we love referrals, but it's like we're not gonna like come over and hang on the couch and stuff. And one dude, like this one woman's dad came to pick something up one time, which is fine and great, and he's like, hey, you mind if I use your bathroom? I'm like, I gotta get out of here. Like, sure, of course, but it was just kind of like people are trying to hang out at the house, and I'm just trying to work, and my girlfriend's there, and she's like, what is going on? So, but aside from that, 78th Street or just moving out has been really, really great for business. People are available, or we are available, so people can come in and look at samples and see what we're up to, stuff like that. And it's been good. It's definitely helped me personally grow the business. I know there are people out there. I've seen some stuff on this channel where people are like, working out of their garages and stuff. I don't have a garage, so I can't do that. But it's been really beneficial for me. So keeps a work-life balance too.
With that being kind of like a huge impact to the way that you could present the business or bring people in or have more production space, like you mentioned, like adding a screen printing press for that bulk capability.
Yep.
Is there another kind of large move or kind of impact that you've made to your business? Or would you say that kind of getting your own physical space was the largest impact that it made on your business?
That is definitely the largest. The hat press, I know I keep talking about it. It's awesome. Like, I'm going to tell you guys the secret. I didn't like it at first. I'm like, I don't like this thing. And then I learned how to use it. I'm like, this thing is my favorite thing. So, the hat press. And honestly, too, I do have some part-time help sometimes now. And that has been crucial. I just can't do everything. And anyone out there that is literally running a one-person business, like, huge props to you. I don't know how you all do it, but I know there are people out there that do it. I just need help, and it's one of those things, again, going back to the quality. Like, we have a large quality standard, and when I print something or someone else prints something, we don't box it right away. We always have each other look at it. Like, it doesn't even matter. Everything gets triple checked. So that was a little hard to see sometimes when, like, you print it, you're like, oh, it looks great, and someone's like, yo, it's the wrong color. I'm like, oh my god. So
you always need that second set of eyes.
Yeah, totally. So that's been really great too.
With bringing in some part-time help, or even like the challenge of hiring, what was that like? That first time, where did you find somebody that you could trust that maybe had that same eye for detail or same eye for quality that you could trust to bring into your business?
Oh man, let's see. The first person from Instagram, I'm like, I know her casually, but I'm like, she's got an eye and she knows apparel, but she's not talking about it. I could just see it. And I hit her up. I was like, hey, we were just chit-chatting, and she's like, I hate my job. I'm like, do you want a job? So that's how that started. That was back at the house and whatever. But as I've been in printing for so long, lots of friends are from previous jobs that I've had. The two people that help me right now are both people Dave. So previous job stuff, and I know their eye for detail. And as I was doing customer service and I did some training, I trained these people. I trained them already at a different job. So that was I feel, I guess, pretty privileged to have done that kind of stuff. And for me, it was honestly kind of a no-brainer when
Yeah.
they were both available. I'm like, oh yeah, you guys are solid. So
And that's an easy step, but I think that's a challenge that what you know, you kind of talked about it like I can't do everything on my own. And there are definitely decorators I've talked to over the years, just even recently, just down in Fort Worth at the Impressions Expo, that are kind of happy with the limit that you could hit with one person. Um,
uh-huh.
but to break through, you do kind of have to, that you can't do everything. And to
Right.
scale and build your business, you do have to bring more people in. Was there like a specific job or a specific moment that you could think back to that was like, I need help?
Oh man, so many. There was not a specific thing, but I knew and I had fun doing all the aspects. I like taking pictures of the products. Like I like doing all the things that are associated with a business. And it was actually, even when I hired my first part-time helper, I was like, "Oh, but I want to do all this stuff." So like I had to learn how to delegate these things and step away from things that I actually like doing. So it was just something where I was like working all day. I'm like, I'm doing the photos, I'm doing the accounting, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing the printing, I'm doing this. And it just wasn't working for me. So it wasn't a job per se. It was all of the jobs and it was my work life balance. And I'm like, oh man, all I do is just work, work, work. And I just need help with this situation. And it's nice to have like to bounce ideas off of people. And I do that with friends and, family and stuff like that too. But it's when someone's in the mix, it helps the business. It helps my business at least. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
100%. Yeah, and when you have time to actually, sit down with friends and family, there's that joke. It's like, "Oh, I started my business to not work 9 to 5, so I work 24/7
yeah,
now."
yeah, that's it for sure. It is not a joke. That is real life. So,
So
but
bring
yeah,
people in that you trust
totally.
that could, and it kind of just like, where do you start to get your first customers? And it's like start with the homies,
Right.
start with your friends, start with the acquaintances, start with the people that you know. That could be trusted too, because like that's something like businesses will be like, we're looking to bring people on for this
Mhm.
on-site printing activation that we're doing, right? Something that heat presses are great for, but like
Yep.
let's do this on-site printing activation, and they bring in just some people from Craigslist, and it's like
Mhm.
that is your business. Like that's reflecting your quality, that's reflecting
Totally.
your image. You only have one opportunity to make a first impression, and
Yep.
yeah, you definitely don't want it to be somebody from Craigslist sometimes. I'm not knocking. I've
Yeah, yeah,
heard
yeah. No,
plenty of people
I
make
feel you.
great jobs from Craigslist, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, so we kind of talked about where you came from. We talked about kind of where you're a little bit at right now. We talked about a little bit of your customer base. I do see that Greg Gardner here, just to jump in. The hat
I'm
press
with
is
you, Greg.
overwhelming until you learn it right.
Yep.
100% with you. But where do you see your progress in maybe the next 5 years? Do you have a long-term business plan now that you're a little bit more settled? You're putting this showroom together. What does the next 5 years look for Canopy Press?
Small. We're gonna stay small. We are not. We're gonna get. We're actively looking for a couple other presses, not apparel related. Um, but I want to stay small. I really do. I didn't get into this to like manage people or have a printing empire or anything like that. It's that would be great if it happened, but no. I mean, I would say like my goal would be to have, let's just say, myself and four other people that are working and dedicated to this, and hopefully we can all share the wealth at some point. I'm never going to be that dude that's driving the the Porsche or whatever, and while everyone's pulling up in a Kia. So we will grow this together slowly, but and got to take care of everyone. So
man, with that kind of like that sense of community, we should have labeled this episode community. I'm going to go back. We're going to change the title.
sure.
Fix it in post. But yeah, talking about the community to start the business, the community to bring into the business, and really relying on that. We talked about right at the beginning of the show, the community of decorators out there that's so willing to share information and kind of lift everybody up. And yeah, that's just incredible. It's great to hear your story. And we're already kind of running out of time, but I want to ask one more question. If anybody else wants, we'll take one more audience question as well. If anybody has one out there on the interwebs, but I'll ask mine in the meantime. What is, we talked about the challenges of being a business owner, and sometimes let's say the mix of life work balance, but what is your favorite part of being a business owner in the custom printing space today?
I imagine everyone says this, but really like seeing the products in the places and seeing people genuinely like them and enjoy them. And yeah, I truly like that. I mean, I work with a local, it's a restaurant of sorts, but they have like, I think 9 locations around here. And I can walk into any of them and I'm like, wow, we did all of this stuff. Like, it's just cool for me to see. I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like it's like a chip on my shoulder or anything like that. I'm just like, wow, we really helped them. And we've been helping them for like 5 years. And I like them and they like me, it's like, and they like Canopy. It's not about me, but that's kind of my favorite thing, honestly. It's just seeing the stuff out in the wild. And we do bumper stickers for Yikes Design, a little name drop there, but they recently got awarded like best bumper stickers in Cleveland or something like that. And I see them all over now. And I'm like constantly like taking pictures, and I don't always send them to them because I don't want to be annoying, but like I have so many stickers of theirs on my phone. I'm like, and they're just funny, silly little stickers. And yeah, so I don't know, that stuff is cool that I've been a part of. And Cleveland's a small place, so I see a lot of it.
Yeah, and seeing it come to life. I think that's the kind of art and creative at heart, which we see so many decorators come in from that kind of creative forward side. And some do come in from the business side. Like, I'm here to, I've talked to decorators that are like, I don't really care about shirts, right? It's all about the business aspect of it.
Right.
But I think that's, I completely resonate with that, coming in from the art and design aspect of it, and talking about like, nobody really collects art the way that they used to these days, but everybody collects t-shirts, and it's this like this most widely collected form of artwork that it's accessible to everybody, and everybody needs at some point in there. But I didn't see any other questions come in here for us. Anthony, absolute pleasure having you on the podcast here today. Once you get that showroom up and running, maybe we'll stop on by with a video camera, feature the cool stuff that you're doing for either our Transfer Express page or our Stalls TV YouTube page. But be sure to go on out there and subscribe to everybody watching and listening. You may even be listening on one of those channels that you're already subscribed to, and for that, we thank you. Of course, any challenges that anybody out there is experiencing now as a decorator, we love to solve those problems here at Stalls for the success of everybody, right? So if you have anything, don't hesitate to join those Facebook groups and let us know, or just send an email on over to us or comment on any posts just like this. And Patty says, thank you, listened while designing, right? So the creative collective here today. But Anthony, thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. Thank you for tuning into the Heat Press for Profit podcast. If you're listening on the replay, right? These are syndicated and go out on every major streaming service. So if you just kind of tuned in late here on the live stream, you'll see this episode drop in a week or two, wherever you get your podcasts: iHeartMedia, Spotify, Amazon, Rhapsody, Napster. Is that still a thing? I don't know. Did I just date myself a little bit? Bearshare, Kazaa, whatever.
MapQuest. I think it's on MapQuest too.
Wherever you're pirating your music. But yeah, all the podcast stations out there. And of course, here at Stalls, we're always happy to help decorators of all sizes learn, connect, and reach their own success. Be sure to check out stalls.com as well as transferexpress.com for all of the heat printing and apparel decorating solutions that you have. They make this podcast possible. And like we heard from you, Anthony, really kind of help empower small businesses. But until next time, thank you again, Anthony, for hanging out with us here today. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Happy pressing.